Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time every Monday. If you enjoy this video, hit that like button, and if you want to submit to be on the show, take a look at the information in the description.
This is a local game. It's kind of like a house game I have with a few buddies of mine.
Okay.
I think down in Indianapolis now.
Oh,
So
okay.
we just have like a group of guys that play. It's a 1-3 game, and I'm basically 1,500 effective with the villain.
Okay.
So we're both really deep. There's a lot of straddling that goes on, so this was a $15 straddle on button.
Okay.
So under the gun, had called the 15. The guy to my right called 15, and I was in the cutoff, and I had looked down at pocket 9.
Okay.
So I bumped it to 65,
Okay.
and everybody called.
Like everybody, like how many people called? Like the hijack, the under the gun?
Yeah, the button, the under the gun, and the hijack. So it was 4 ways.
Button calls, UTG limper calls, hijack limper calls. All right, so it's 4 ways. So you've got this situation where you've got 9-9, pot's like 260, and it's 4 ways, and you are in the cutoff. Hero in cutoff. Okay, go to the flop.
Okay, the flop was ace of hearts,
Mm-hmm.
2 of spades, 4 of spades.
Ace of hearts, 2 of spades, 4 of spades. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
It gets checked to me, and a lot of times I usually bet this, but I just kind of felt like I'm checking for some reason. Sometimes I'll delay c-bet an ace, and it looked like a board I might do that with, so I ended up checking, and it gets checked through.
Well, this one's probably, I probably wouldn't be doing a whole lot of betting here into 3 people on ace deuce 4 with 2 spades. Again, a little subtle thing. I don't know if you remember the suits of your 9s, but one of the things you could look at if it's really close against less opponents, if you were maybe against 2 people, if you were really close on betting here and it would be a protection / value bet, meaning that you'd want to bet 9s or 10s here more so than kings, right? Because they're just cards that can come that beat your hand. If you just let a free one go through, you would look at it and say, oh, do I have the 9 of spades? It would be slightly better, but I'd probably be checking here a lot too. So it gets checked through.
Yep, I had 9 of hearts, 9 of spades.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I still wouldn't bet against 3 people, but so 9 of hearts, 9 of spades. Or you could bet extremely small. You know, you could bet something like 40 or 50 or something like that. The problem sometimes with that is that at this level, sometimes it will increase the bluffing frequency of your opponents. And I guess the easiest way to say this is that if you don't, even though you don't really have to play live poker in a balanced way, if you don't play your small bet sizing in a balanced way, weaker opponents accidentally pick up on it. And what I mean by that is that if you're only betting 50 with like an in-between protection hand, but you're betting more with value type hands or say semi-bluffs, it's really, really easy for someone to actually pick up on. And that's why you can actually get bluffed off the hand. So if you want to start betting super small, you're supposed to do that with some like ace X and things like that. But anyways, okay, it gets checked through. What's the turn?
Okay, the turn is a 9.
Okay.
So I hit a set.
So like 9 of diamonds or something, right?
Right.
Okay.
And the guy immediately to my right, the villain, that's $75.
So the UTG checks, right? Hijack bet 70?
75.
75, okay.
And, you know, I debated. I felt like I should raise, but I felt like he probably wasn't very strong with the weak bet sizing, and I didn't want to blow him off the hand, so I ended up just calling.
So you're so almost like calling as a slow play, right? Hero calls. You didn't want to blow him off the hand. Here's the thing that I would say about this is that so he's limped in, but you know, obviously there's probably a fair amount of like recreational weak players. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't have ace X when he's limped in. but he's naturally checked to you, right? Because you're the preflop raiser. So I feel like this is a really, really good spot to actually make a really small raise here because I don't expect ace X to fold. I mean, this was kind of like what I was talking to the caller, where he had to be more, last caller, he had to be a little bit more thoughtful about draws and what his opponent had because of the fact that he had top set, so he blocked all of like the top pairs. But with 9, I would much rather have 9-9 here, like you do, than have ace-ace here. Like if you had pocket aces here and you check the flop and then somebody let into you on the turn, yeah, like you might have to continue to play that just as a call because you have the whole board covered. I think it's a little bit different though too, though. That might not be the best example because there are a lot of ace X that bad players will play. So even if you were to have top set of aces, there's still 4 aces left in the deck. They could have ace X. Maybe if it was like, say, for example, queen deuce 4 and you had pocket queens as top set and you checked it and then somebody let into you like on a blank turn, like on a 6 or 7 turn, because people aren't playing like queen 5 off, whereas they're playing like ace 5 off, ace 7 off, things like that. So I would probably raise here just because, I mean, you basically have almost the nuts here, unless the, I mean, literally, I mean, the nuts is obviously a 5-3, but is a guy limp calling with 5-3? I mean, it's, you know, it's he shouldn't be. But okay, so you call, and then what happens?
And then the button called.
The button calls, and then the big blind folds.
And then the under the gun.
Or under the gun. Yep. Under the gun folds. All right, so under the gun folds. So 75 call. So that's about 225. That's 485. 485. So it's ace of hearts, deuce of spades, 4 of spades, 9 of diamonds. Hero has 9 of hearts, 9 of spades from the cutoff. Raises, gets called by the button, under the gun, and hijack both call, who are both limpers. Check through on the flop, turns a 9. Under the gun checks, hijack bet 75, hero calls, button calls. Under the gun folds. 3 ways, pots 485. Okay, let's go to the river.
Yep. The river is the king of diamonds.
King of diamonds, okay. Yep.
And the villain is immediately to my right. That's 150 to me.
So hijack bets 150. Yep.
And I felt like this was a mandatory raise.
Absolutely.
I thought there was worse that could call me.
Absolutely.
They could have a lower set.
You have to raise.
I ended up making it.
If you call the turn, you have to raise the river here. I mean, you only lose to one hand, right? One hand. I mean, one hand being, and this is. I don't know why this bothers me. That's got nothing to do with you, Dan, but I don't know why it bothers me that some of these guys on the internet, like I'll say, oh, Dan has the second nuts here. Now, why am I saying that Dan has the second nuts here? Dan's got the second nuts here because 5-3 is the nuts. I know that 3 aces is the fucking second nuts, but the guy's not going to have it. He limp overcalled. So whenever you see somebody that picks apart a hand like that and complains about some bullshit that's irrelevant, you can almost guarantee that they're a losing poker player. Because if you go to a bunch of winning poker players and explain the hand like in this way, none of those people would ever mention the fact that pocket nines here isn't actually the second nut. Anyways, that's sorry. I had to go off on my. Yeah, you absolutely have to raise here.
That's my thought too. Is with the pre-flop action, there's no way this guy has a higher set.
No, of course not. Of course not.
So, so I made it 350.
And the reason why he doesn't have ace-ace is because remember, under the gun limped, hijack limped. You made it 65. The button called. The under the gun called. That's always going to be a limp re-raise, right? Like always if someone's going to play it that way. So, yes, I would absolutely raise here.
Okay. So again, I made it 350.
350, okay.
And then he thought about it for a minute and he jammed. For like $800 more.
Raises to 350 and fold and jam.
Yeah, the button fold.
All in. So for some reason, when I read your hand, I thought that this guy was actually from the big blind, but the big blind was never even in the hand because This would be actually a little bit more of an interesting situation if this guy was in the big blind. Because the reason why I sort of clumped your calls together is if he was in the big blind, he was leading at you at the turn, and can you ever raise if someone that basically has a straight in their range from the big blind? But here from the hijack, yeah, you have to raise 350. So how much more is it?
It's like another 800 for me to call.
So it's a big bet, right? It's a huge bet, right? Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, you've got the second nuts, basically. What I'm saying that's kind of crazy is that what scares me here, but you'd have to, I can't make fold at this level, Dan. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, it's kind of a cooler, but anybody that says that they're going to fold here, what is concerning for me, though, is that he doesn't seem like he's scared of pocket aces, right? Or pocket kings for that matter, right? Like the way that you've played this hand, you can have pocket aces, pocket kings, or pocket nines, right?
Yep.
And he doesn't seem concerned by that. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I'm trying to look at hands that he, for some reason, might overvalue. Like 3-bet all in with like a set of fours or a set of deuces. I don't think that that's going to happen, though, because there's an ace out there, there's a king out there, there's a 9 out there. He's betting 150 into 405. You're raising the 350, so that's 1185, and then he's got another maybe, yeah, I think you're right, 800 or 900 more. So it's like the pot's like maybe like 2,000. Is it? Let's see here. 150, 357, 1185, 2,800 to call, something like that. You're getting about 2-1, maybe 2,900 to call, right? Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's someone saying ace 5 suited. It sucks. It's a shitty spot. But if he's got 5-3, he's got 5-3. You know what I mean? Like, I think I have to call here. I'm not always raise folding. I'm not always bet folding. This is just one of these ones where you're just gonna have to get it. It's just such a narrow range. I mean, I know it's one of these things where, yeah, like what else does he have, right? But what ended up happening?
Yeah. Well, I ended up calling.
Yeah.
And he had 3-5.
Yeah.
So he flopped the wheel.
3-5 suited.
And then in hindsight, I was all mad at myself. I'm thinking, even though it's a real narrow range, he has to have 3-5 here. That's just what I was thinking after the fact.
I mean, listen, this is the sort of the cat and mouse game of like low stakes poker. It's like, yeah, like how can you fold basically as far up a hand that you possibly can have here? So the theory behind this is if you fold this hand, then somebody can just basically exploit you all the time with a 3-bet all in. But the problem is that it doesn't happen that way.
Right.
And it is very concerning to me that somebody doesn't really have any type of concern about losing to, say, aces or pocket kings. I'm trying to think of a hand that I may raise fold here at the end. Yeah, I mean, the other hand that you might have here that you're going to call off to is with kings, right? We talked about that, right? Kings or aces. You probably would play kings here the same way, pocket kings, call the turn bet, raise the river. And pocket aces, it's probably the same thing. They're probably the exact same thing. So I don't think you did anything wrong. Thanks for the call, Dan. I appreciate it. If you like what you've seen here, please hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this call-in hand, hit the like button down below. To check out crushlivepoker.com, click on the link in the description. Use the code YTA300 to get the first 30 days for free.